In our previous video, we delved into the exhilarating world of intense fire stunts featured in movies. Today, we will talk about more fire stunts in movies that have long been a captivating element that adds intensity and spectacle to cinematic experiences. Prepare for a roller coaster ride of adrenaline-pumping moments that defy the limits of imagination in Hollywood movies. We're shining a light on celebs and a few of the unsung heroes. These 10 films and their fearless stunt maestros didn't just break records. They soared through death-defying fire stunts, ignited explosive spectacles, and executed daring deeds that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Number 10. Sudden Death. This movie revolves around a former fireman takes on a group of terrorists holding the vice president and others hostage during the 7th game of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. In this scene, Q Van Damme's signature charisma and martial arts prowess. With the toy flamethrower in hand, he takes control of the situation, turning an innocent prop into a weapon against the bad guys. It's a jaw-dropping moment that showcases both action and humor. Jean-Claude Van Damme makes a mini toy flamethrower and turns the scene into full-blown comedy. It's not a comedy movie, though. Number 9. Puppet Master. The Puppet Master movies are such a nice addition to the horror genre. The puppets return and hunt paranormal researchers in an attempt to take their brain fluid for their master, André Toulon. In this scene, Blade and Leech Woman go to a local farmer's house, where Leech Woman kills the husband, Matthew, but gets thrown into the fireplace by the wife, Martha. Yes, we've seen killer dolls in movies before, but none of them stand out quite as much as these little fuckers. Do they? Well, speaking of little fuckers, this one named Torch has a mini flame-throwing arm and blasts a shotgun-toting old lady with his user-friendly weapon. These movies are good, absurd times. Number 8. The Thing. This list definitely wouldn't be complete without this movie on it somewhere. A U.S. research station, Antarctica, early winter 1982. The base is suddenly buzzed by a helicopter from the nearby Norwegian research station. The Thing boasts no shortage of iconic moments and monsters, but it's the blood test scene that stands out for the effective way it unnerves through coiling tension. With the surviving members of the group suspicious still of MacReady, he has windows bind them and take blood samples from each while he keeps his flamethrower armed and ready. MacReady fights his way back in and acquires the outpost's flamethrower and some sticks of dynamite as a means of controlling negotiations between him and the team, but he seemingly badly injures their geologist Norris in the process. And thus, the stage is set on fire. MacReady's ready to blow anything or anybody away at any given moment in this film once shit hits the fan. Number 7. Cabin Fever. The story follows a group of college graduates who rent a cabin in the woods and begin to fall victim to a flesh-eating disease. In this scene, the students gather around a campfire that night, where they are joined by a friendly drifter named Grim and his pet dog, Dr. Mambo. When it rains, Grim leaves with his dog to pack up his belongings. While the friends wait for Grim, Henry returns, begging for help. When Bert shuts the door on the sick hermit, he tries stealing the group's car while vomiting blood. When Henry approaches Marcy and Karen, Paul accidentally sets him on fire. While seeking help the next day, Jeff and Bert encounter a butcher, but leave after learning that she is Henry's cousin. Number 6. Candyman. Candyman is a 1992 American Gothic supernatural horror film. The film came to fruition after a chance meeting between Rose and Barker, who recently completed his own film adaptation of Nightbreed, 1990. In one scene, the Candyman promises to release Anthony if Helen helps him strike fear into Cabrini Green's residence. Attempting to feed his legend, the Candyman reneges and attempts to immolate both Helen and Anthony in a pyre. Helen stabs the Candyman with a flaming plank. The flames destroy the Candyman, and Helen dies while saving Anthony. The residents, led by Anne-Marie and Jake, pay their respects at Helen's funeral. Number 5. Death Weekend. Hitting our number 5 spot, this fiery classic was a trailblazer in more ways than one. A rich playboy has a large house in the Ontario countryside. One weekend, he invites his girlfriend, a fashion model, but on his way to the house, he drives past a gang of crazed young men. The men find out where the house is and terrorize the couple. At nightfall, the gang becomes more out of control with drinking and smoking dope. Harry confronts them with a pump-action shotgun, but he hesitates to shoot, and Lep snatches the weapon from his hands. And Diane is taken to a bedroom to be raped again, this time by Runt. Diane fights back and eventually kills Runt by slashing his neck with a shard of mirror glass, and she manages to flee from the house. She later traps Frankie in the boathouse and sets it on fire, allowing him to burn to death. She then lures the pursuing Stanley to a nearby bog where he falls into a quicksand pit and drowns. Number 4. The Towering Inferno. Doug Roberts, architect, returns from a long vacation to find work nearly completed on his skyscraper. He goes to the party that night concerned he's found that his wiring specifications have not been followed and that the building continues to develop short circuits. When the fire begins, Michael O'Halloran is the chief on duty as a series of daring rescues punctuate the terror of a building too tall to have a fire successfully fought from the ground. Fire overtakes the express elevators, killing a group whose elevator stops on the engulfed 81st floor. Bigelow and his girlfriend Lori are killed when another fire traps them in the Duncan Enterprises offices on the 65th floor. A lot of people die in this fire. Number 3. Death Warrant. In a violent and corrupt prison, decorated cop Louis Burke must infiltrate the jail to find answers to a number of inside murders. What he finds is a struggle of life and death tied into his own past. During the climactic fight scene in the industrial sections of the prison, the psycho killer, the Sandman, is trouncing Burke in front of the spectating prisoners. He then opens one of the furnaces and proudly declares, "Welcome to hell!" The Sandman uses brutal force to watch Burke suffer. Burke gets the upper hand and kicks the Sandman into a lit furnace, but he survives with minor burns. Then Burke kicks the Sandman again and impales his head onto a spike. Sandman taunts him by saying he cannot be killed. Burke grabs his jaw and pushes it further into the spike, killing him. Number 2. The Thing from Another World. The movie revolves around the scientists at an Arctic research station discover a spacecraft buried in the ice. Upon closer examination, they discover the frozen pilot. All hell breaks loose when they take him back to their station, and he is accidentally thawed out. Hendry finds the plasma missing when it is needed to treat Stern, which leads him to Carrington. Fogarty transmits orders to keep the creature alive, but it escapes from the greenhouse and attacks the airmen in their quarters. They douse it with buckets of kerosene and set it aflame, forcing it to retreat into the storm. Number 1. Westworld's from 1973. A robot malfunction creates havoc and terror for unsuspecting vacationers at a futuristic, adult-themed amusement park. In this fiery scene, with its optical inputs damaged, the gunslinger cannot track Peter visually and tries instead to find him using its infrared scanners. Peter stands beneath flaming torches and discovers that they mask his presence from the android. He sets it on fire with a torch and leaves the android to burn. Peter hears a call in a dungeon and finds a chained woman begging for help. He gives her water, but this causes her to short-circuit and shut down. Shocked, Peter realizes she was a robot. The burned shell of the gunslinger attacks him once again before succumbing to its damage. The mesmerizing world of fire stunts in movies. From the dazzling visuals to the behind-the-scenes magic, it's clear that these fiery spectacles are an integral part of cinematic storytelling. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more movie magic, and let us know in the comments your favorite fire stunt from the big screen.